Hello, I am Bahattin Buyuksahin. I'm principal at COMEX Consulting and Advising. Today, we are going to talk about the impact of COVID-19 on energy markets. Basically, we are faced with a crisis like no other, at least since the Spanish flu pandemic in 1920s. In order to contain the virus spreading further, we were willingly restricting mobility and aviation via lockdowns. Global economy was shattered due to coronavirus pandemic. Millions lost their jobs and their businesses. Some jobs and business will not come back even after the pandemic. Even those who did move from one state to another state seamlessly, they will feel the pain eventually, and at least they are feeling it right now also. Energy sector in general, oil and gas sector in particular, are not spared from these pandemic-related developments. Let's take a look at energy sector. For example, oil, gas, and coal. Coal sector, coal production actually was the sector. According to ADIA recent numbers, oil demand curtailed by 29 million barrels per day at the peak of pandemic in April. ADIA is expecting oil demand down by 8.6 million barrels in 2020 overall. And we are not expecting oil demand numbers going back to pre-crisis level of 100 million barrels, not at least before 2021. Some analysts predict full recovery in oil demands may go beyond 2022 or 2023. It really all depends on several factors. The first is about the shape of economic recovery we are going to have. There are a lot of unknowns regarding the shape of economic recovery. U-shape, L-shape, W-shape, or even square root shape. A lot of people are expecting V-shape, but I don't. Basically, either we are going to have, in the best case scenario, U-shape or W-shape if you are going to act together. Are we going to have a second or third wave like Spanish flu? What will be the government's responses to second and third wave? When will we have vaccine? Or are we going to learn how to live with the virus itself? Basically, like we are living with the HIV pandemic or disease virus since 1980s. So, second is related to fundamentals related to energy markets. Let me again focus on the oil market in particular. Yes, we have seen demand collapsing near 30% in April, but we have already seen early signs of demand recovery. Look, China, for example. The demand numbers are getting close to pre-crisis level already, but we are not there yet. We have seen US gasoline demand numbers are recovering, but not close to the pre-crisis level. The main question here, whether demand destruction was temporary or permanent. Low prices also have important implications for the supply side developments. Look at OPEC Plus agreement or shale oil production cut and Canada oil production cut. These are all implications for employment as well. The third one is about the policy measures taken by governments in response to this crisis. According to Stanford study, daily carbon dioxide as much as 17% globally. However, this sharp drop certainly temporary. As we lift shelter in place and ease lockdowns, we will slowly get back to pre-crisis level of mobility. So carbon dioxide emission will certainly increase over time. However, this short period provides important policy choices for policymakers as well as individuals and businesses. Do we want more greener and healthier society? If so, what are we going to do? Are we going to go back to normal as in the pre-crisis level, or we change our behavior, our policy priorities to reach a new normal, which will determine the path for a new and sustainable environment? That is that the choices we made in previous crises had important consequences of our current state of the world. Consider policy choice we made after 2008 financial crisis, which provide a lot of stimulus to renewable energy. Now, renewable energy in terms of costs is competing with fossil fuel. So again, consider 1980s. After the oil embargo, we made some important policy decision about energy efficiency or smaller car. So we are now in this situation. And the question is how much oil demand destruction temporary or permanent? I believe over time we will return to old level of demand, not because of all demand destruction temporary, but because of higher energy demand due to rising population energy. Most demand destruction are temporary, but not all. It might take some time for demand to come. You cannot order businesses to reopen and expect people to react to that one. Whereas finding a new job will determine the timing of the demand recovery. However, that being said, coronavirus has important medium and long-term implications for supply and demand dynamics in energy market. Permanent, as I said, I am expecting 3 million, up to 3 million barrel demand is destructed permanently due to what you call technological innovation and working from home and less business travel as a result of teleconferencing, as business realize cost-saving nature of teleworking and teleconferencing. This will curtail about 3 million by 2040. This means the pandemic could actually bring forward the fossil fuel peak. I mean, peak oil demand might come before mid-2030s. Basically, if we want a more sustainable energy system, that we are going to need a lot of different technologies, and of course, just think about how, because in the short term or medium term, we need still fossil fuel. So how are we going to clean? Are we going to use carbon capture and all this stuff? This should be considered. We need to rely more on renewable energy rather than fossil fuel through electrical cars and power sector. Can we use this unfortunate time for the good? And then from fossil fuel to renewable, which will help us fight to climate change and then improving energy efficiency, getting rid of plastics. So all this have important policy decision. So, but as I said, it is also important that not that we still need fossil fuel because of, I mean, energy access and everything. So it is important over there. Fossil fuel also provides millions of jobs. You cannot just say we are going to eliminate all the fossil fuel needs. So, but in the longer term, can we reduce the reliance on fossil fuel from today's level of 85% to 60% or 50% by mid-century? That's big achievements for clean energy. So it is important to put the clean energy in the stimulus package, which are going to be part of our recovery to normal after the pandemic is over. So we need a much more modernized and more resilient and less polluting energy system that will be achieved through the renewable energy or carbon capture or everything we need in terms of technological, clean energy. The thing is, most probably, we are going to see much more isolated or nationalist policies coming how it is going to affect the supply and demand. Are you going to go it alone, or in these times we need much more cooperation? I don't see that one coming much more. Most probably, we are going to see some more go it alone type stuff. That will be the worst kind of recovery we might see. So, of course, for sure, we are heading towards more automation, less globalization, as I was discussing, more government intervention. What is the implication of these to developing countries? The first important thing is health is, as Churchill was saying, healthy citizens are the greatest asset any country can have. This is important. First of all, how are we going to deal with pandemic responses in less developed countries where the healthcare system, we did not see a pandemic hitting the less developed countries. So when it hits, how is our pandemic response will be? So reliable energy to all is an importance for health. We saw it in the United States or developed countries. Electricity and everything is necessary for this stuff. So maybe it's time to think about universal access to energy, but what kind of energy? That is the question, that is the policy choices we are going to have in the medium and long run. That is the question we are facing right now.